with coverage you can count on. Now your First Warn 5 forecast with meteorologist Bryan Bachman.
All right, good Tuesday evening, everyone, as we gear up for our holiday travel tomorrow as Christmas Eve is upon us. We've got some fog to deal with before we get there tonight, even into the first part of tomorrow, and then followed swiftly by that will be coming in some pretty heavy rainfall, as we'll see coming up. First Warn 5 pinpoint Doppler radar starting to show at least a few light drizzly areas beginning to edge their way in, and one particularly heavy rain shower kind of just to the immediate south of the Grand Blanc area, working into extreme southern portions of Genesee County. This will start to lift northeastward, so areas around Lapeer you'll likely see a little bit of rain in addition to the fog that is continuing to thicken up in your vicinity, and all these will become a little bit more numerous as they lift northward through the region during the overnight period tonight. We'll take you back outside. Here's a neighborhood weather check from Owasso High School, our live camera there. See that fog pretty plainly there, shrouding those streetlights in the distance there. Current temperature staying mild at 43 degrees. And yes, that's what it actually feels like. The wind's largely calm tonight, so that's really what will allow that fog to thicken up in addition to those high humidity levels out there. First Warn 5 Sky Tracker shows those showers just beginning to edge their way in. There was a little band of drizzle that worked through the Tri-Cities up toward about the Escoda area during the evening, just kind of put a little bit of a slickness down on the area roadways, but this all going to really pale in comparison to what's waiting down the pipeline by the time we move into tomorrow morning and the balance of our Christmas Eve. So we have low pressure system number 1 working its way into parts of northern Wisconsin this evening, and in fact basically unraveling as we speak. Not a whole lot left of it. You head farther down the cold frontal boundary to this area of low pressure. That storm system that brought all that severe weather to parts of the south today. Numerous tornadoes reported, a lot of reports of very large hail, and a very well-defined line of thunderstorms you can see there working its way through Georgia even at this hour. I mention all of that because this storm essentially going to ride right up along this frontal boundary tomorrow, bringing all of this moisture with it. And it's not out of the question, too, that by the time it gets here, could even throw a few rumbles of thunder into the mix. So a very dicey travel day, to say the least. If, maybe you can try to get it done earlier, that's probably the best move, because as you'll see here as we take you through the hour-by-hour forecast, it's going to go downhill very quickly as far as the wet weather is concerned. So we'll start you off at midnight. Again, just a couple of widely scattered showers, otherwise overcast and foggy. That lasts well into the morning hours. Here's 8 o'clock, and that's when about the first of the heavier, steady rains begin to just work their way in from the south and west. Fast forward to about 3 p.m. and pretty much the same story. A lot of heavy rain area-wide. Also some pockets of flooding not out of the question, as we could see upwards of an inch to inch and a half to even 2 inches in some localized cases tomorrow. And if all that weren't enough, then it starts to transition into some icy precipitation, or maybe even just some plain snow in a few localized areas by the time we get to about midnight tomorrow night and into the very first parts of Christmas morning. So a very messy situation being compounded by the fact that now there'll be an icy component to it, and that lasting through at least 4 o'clock in the morning as we start the process of maybe getting up very early on Christmas morning. But nonetheless, travel going to be extremely difficult really over the better part of the next 24 to 36 hours. So on the rain predictor through the remainder of the overnight, not a whole lot of rain, a few sprinkles. That's really going to be about it. But you notice the totals ramp up very quickly. By the time we get to midnight tomorrow night, 1.75 inches the forecast for the Saginaw area, 1.5 inches for Owasso, and some locally higher amounts. Escoda could even be closing in on 2 inches of rain before all things are said and done. And on top of that, winds will be picking up tomorrow afternoon and evening, so a high wind watch for all the shaded counties of the thumb back to Genesee County for the possibility of wind gusts that at times could top 40 to 60 miles per hour tomorrow evening and into the first part of Christmas. So we're down to 37 tonight, showers, and again, that dense fog becoming pretty thick as we head into the overnight period. And then Mother Nature, well, she does two things. She doesn't follow scripts, otherwise we'd be a little bit chillier, and she has terrible timing because we have all that travel going on tomorrow with some messy weather, but we'll start to clear it out a little bit by the time we get to Christmas afternoon.
Yeah, shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, just a hurdle to get through.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.